vastness, the remoteness, the free feeling out here. No cell phone service, and the goal is to get out here.
It's like a different world.
Her father founded this area.
It's a small town community stuff, and everyone knows everyone.
Far out in these hills, historically it's also been weed operations.
And there's a difference between a criminal and an outlaw.
You guys holding on out here.
By a thread.
We all had to rely on one another with our lives at one point or another.
That's the closest real town.
No trespassing.
The sheriff doing his round. It was wild back in the day, and I think it still is.
There was a lot of freedom to live differently.
We were running from the cops, we were running from helicopters. It's really a significant part of what we dealt with here in the Emerald Triangle.
Beautiful, isn't it?
It's one of the most beautiful places in the world.
That's how I feel.
Good morning, guys. Today we have quite an adventure. We're going south from here. Part of California's coastline that's the least developed. Right there, what it was called, people living
The celebration of Di Ravello Week continues in the Mediterranean tourist destination of Medici. The annual festivities are held in honor of Medici's de facto head of state, General Sebastiano Di Ravello.
A lot of agriculture out here, and from what I've been told, this is the gateway town to the Lost Coast.
This is pure insanity!
Town of any size for the rest of today. The first and the last. How you doing? Do you guys live in Ferndale here?
Used to.
Yeah, what's going on out here?
Nothing.
That's about it.
Nothing.
Why'd you move?
Problems. There is a time.
Some of that stuff?
I'm okay, thank you though.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's a good little town. I spent 60-some years here and finally moved out, and I love coming back.
Different than a lot of California up here, fair to say?
Yeah, I would say. Being Northern California, we're only 85 miles from the Oregon border. And we've kind of got our own mentality, separate from Southern California. They try to call San Francisco Northern California. Well, that's not even close.
Okay, so you guys look at yourself more like Southern Oregon than
Pretty
San
much.
Francisco or LA.
Absolutely. I don't even ID with San Francisco. It's like a different world. We put our names on these benches. We spend so much time here.
Oh, here's your name, Craig.
Yeah, exactly. 2 Donnas and a Lloyd and a Craig.
That one, Donna.
Yeah, I'm sitting on your.
You got your name on the chair.
Yes, we do.
I've been here for 5 minutes in Ferndale.
Oh,
What do you think? Tell me about it.
awesome.
How is it?
How is Ferndale? I love Ferndale. I would live up here in a heartbeat.
Where do you live?
San Rosa. This is peaceful. People are friendly. We can sit out here all
Ravello's
day
iron grip
long
holds
and
firm
visit with
amidst numerous
strangers, and they
reports
talk
of
to
human
us.
rights violations.
This is
Some
a great
dissenters
place.
are
I'm
allegedly
raising
sentenced to
kids.
forced
They're
labor,
raising-
mining the mysterious
This is,
material
Gateway to the
bavarium,
Lost Coast,
while
fair to
others
say?
seemingly just disappear.
The road is terrible. You gotta
Yep.
go through Petrolia into Honeydew, go to the right,
Okay.
and that'll take you up some really.
Cannot sit idly by.
See you guys. Most beautiful.
Surface to air missiles! Shoot the battery now!
And if you are from Ferndale out there watching this video, it's about your town. Love. Okay, we're leaving most beautiful places I've seen today. Just the vastness, the free feeling out here.
Rico! You better not be dead!
So this is the one area, when you look at a map of California, you'll see Route 1 go up the coast of the whole state except for this one part, that being the Lost Coast. As you can see way off in the distance there, the haze cliffs go right down into the ocean. So the reason they didn't build the one for this section is because it was just too rugged and hard to do. So the road went inland. That's why the Lost Coast.
The militia are here! Take them out!
Super remote out there. As you can see,
I bet you militia were not expecting Rico fucking Rodriguez!
Not far from here are the redwoods, some of the biggest trees in the world. And you can see throughout the years, storms have brought out,
Rico! It's been
brought out these massive pieces of wood here, washed them up on shore, and created this beauty.
Mario, where are you? We're pinned down!
We're coming! Step on it, Rico!
Stop by the Honeydew store. It's a pretty neat
You
store
are a
there right
rebel
in town. And you head over to the Honeydew Bridge, you'll see some cool places too before you head
What's
out.
at the store?
It's just a neat, like, it's just kind of a hangout spot. Like, when the pot was really big, a lot of people hung out there. You can get some good stories there, I'm sure.
Oh, cool. You guys setting up posts for a ranch out here?
Yeah.
What are the industries out here for the most part?
Ranching was the original industry, and then now the marijuana, and there's some logging stuff.
Mario, where are
The
you?
logging's still
We're
going.
pinned down!
Okay. You live in Ferndale.
We're coming!
What do you
Step on
think
it,
about
Rico!
here?
I love it out here.
You are a
drive from
rebel
Ferndale,
now.
it's like an hour here every day, so it's a perfect amount of time to come
you
out
know
to
how
go to
it
work.
is.
It's just a small
One
town
thing leads
community
to
stuff,
another,
you
and
know?
then bang.
Everyone knows everyone. We tell
Mario
people
Frigo
North
is holding a
right at the
shotgun
Oregon
fight
border.
in Ravello.
The guy in Ferndale was saying it feels more aligned with Southern Oregon than California.
Oh yeah, that's probably good information, yeah.
A checkpoint! Don't stop, Rico!
Okay guys, another 20 minutes of driving in from the coast.
It's just these militia have taken over all the towns, converting the police stations into fortresses. I had to start fighting. You see, Rico, Medici has changed a lot.
His name is Taco. Taco guards the store.
Yeah,
Taco's the mayor of town. Cash only, right?
yeah.
Okay.
He had a different dog, a German Shepherd. And one day I was walking down the cooler aisle, and on the bottom shelf,
There they
he
are!
went in the pool with her in her hand.
I wish we could
and
use that
forgot the
tank,
dog.
but he's not going
He
in.
was laying at the door.
I
Help me, help me.
You're a genius, Rico! I could...
So why yours are? Why is the town called Petrolia? Was there oil found here or something?
There's a little plaque on the corner,
Okay.
and it has the little story. It's not good quality, and where we're at, it's not worth
It's you! Let's get him!
Do you love it out here? Oh wow. Has it changed much or still the same? Going back. How? What's it now? I see a bunch of ranches.
Yeah, there's a couple of ranches.
So right now it's like the weed is cycling down and then something else will replace, or
We're hoping.
you're hoping?
Yeah.
Okay.
Something's got to be replaced.
Are like people moving out of town now or something?
Yeah.
Oh.
Lots. The weed isn't worth anything anymore. Everybody paid all lot of money to get legal, and now they can't sell the weed to make a profit.
So there's some, like you guys holding on out here by a thread.
Something's gotta change.
She's pinned
Do you
down
get
at the
tourists
farm.
coming through here? Is that what, does that help?
That'll wane off in the winter.
The farm
Does
is
that help at all?
compromised. It's meant to be overrun soon. Requesting assistance.
Okay.
Rico, can
I'm
you
gonna
go?
go
You have to
check that out.
protect it. I'll
Record
meet you
it.
up
Yeah.
there.
Thank you. Take care. California's first drilled oil wells. California's
Can
first
take this
drilled oil
chopper,
wells
Fructy.
producing crude to be refined and sold commercially were located on the North Fork of the Mattole River, approximately 3 miles east of here. The Old Union Mattole Oil Company made its first shipment of oil from here in June 1865 to the San Francisco refinery. Many old wellheads
Citizens
remain
of Medici.
today.
I'm apparently the new voice of the General News Network. Your only legal source of current events.
Toll road here.
Another successful
maps.
Di Ravello week is in
Just
the
talked to a school teacher.
Some minor
Unfortunately,
reports
he didn't want me
of
on camera.
anti-government
He said
action, but we
big
have
struggle
troops
is being
en
so
route
far
to
from
utterly
everything.
destroy the last
And he
pocket
said
of resistance
the
as we speak.
kids are struggling
Viva
out here,
Medici.
just like anywhere. And I said, well, doesn't it help being out in all of this countryside? Doesn't that make it a little easier on them? He said, no, it's just economic issues. There are people just getting by right now, and that's causing issues, obviously, for raising kids. I mean, you're seeing what I see here. There aren't many jobs.
Take this chopper, Fructy.
That growing is not paying, and what replaces it?
Good morning, citizens of Medici. I'm apparently the new voice of the General's News Network. Your only
Mattole
legal
Grange, this
source
is like
of
community
current
center,
events.
something like that.
Another successful
Mattole Grange,
Di
right there.
Ravello week is
I'm
in
not
the
even
books.
familiar with that term. Is that
Some
a
minor
Northern California
reports
type
of
of people?
anti-government action, but we have troops en route
club,
to
but it's
utterly
sort of a
destroy the
gathering
last
of
pocket
citizens
of
for
resistance
farmers.
as we speak.
Okay, to gather in like big communities
Viva
to
Medici.
support the families around that farming village. So it's, yeah, it goes back to that. It should be like an actual national state range hall. Who goes steady?
You must be the backup! Get up on the tower and man the gun!
Oh, nice. Good community out here?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty,
That's
pretty
great.
amazing, actually, yeah. I spent like my 20s up here and just moved back recently, so
How's it feel being back?
pretty good. I mean, the valley's kind of emptying out a little bit.
That's what they said at the store.
At
The
the
petroleum store, yeah. They said it's going through a down cycle.
Mm-hmm.
People move in and
Yeah, pot it doesn't make financial sense for, or people have a hard time making financial sense of how
Yeah.
they can be out here. Because you can't just grow some weed, or because there was money in general in the weed world, and then everyone could do anything because it just greased the wheels. It just worked its way.
it trickled down through everything, huh?
Yeah, you could be a barber out here and you would have money to pay, so you
Right.
could still make it. Most ranges have like bingo, like some nights, and pancake breakfasts. It's kind of
Oh, nice. You get a lot of old people out here, a lot of young people, or what is it?
a lot of older people right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there is a good amount of, I would say there's like 150, 200 people active, and there's a lot of people kind of in the hills that hide. And,
In the hills that hide.
yeah, just do their things. So this is the dining hall.
Oh, cool. So this is active now. People come in here.
Yeah,
Eat.
yeah. We usually have meetings in here. There's a mobile vet that's coming out to do stuff.
Mobile vet.
Yeah.
Because you don't have any of these services out here, huh?
Yeah.
Nothing.
No, and nobody. I mean, people go to town maybe once every 2 weeks or something like that.
What's town?
Eureka,
How far?
an hour and a half.
That's the closest real town.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta love that style of living then,
You have
to be out here.
Yeah, and it's just there's things that are just kind of hard. And there's things you just put away. And it's like,
Like, what if you want a haircut? Where do you go?
I don't have anywhere. to
You
go.
know?
People talk about like when they come from Eureka, they're like, "Oh, I would love to live out here," and they're like, "Okay, well," but then you would be here, and like, what would you do? And so a lot of people that have like computer jobs, they can make money on computer jobs. They would make it out here, or
Because Starlink works out here, right?
yeah.
Do you have an internet connection? Because my phone doesn't work.
Yeah, there's internet to a lot of these different places.
Okay.
People have Starlink. Yeah, but it's kind of a little bit messy. The power goes out, and then you had no power, no internet for a couple of weeks last year. You just sort of sit in the dark. And,
Tough place to be single, huh?
yeah, it really is. No money and no women. That's all right.
You can see through the trees here, all of the greenhouses, and it smells like weed, for sure. Even want to know how much this kombucha is out in these parts? It's gonna be like $5.19. I thought it would have been worse actually. Okay, so you were out here because of why, you said?
Because I was addicted to fentanyl.
Oh wow.
I came out here to get sober, and I went through 4 centers in less than a year, and then I ended up here, and I've been here for over a year and a half.
There's a center out here for addiction?
Yeah, it's called Mountain Mercy.
Faith-based?
Mhm.
How is it so far?
It's awesome. I mean, it's completely donation-based, so we rely on God and donations.
I'll leave a donation. If I left money with you, would you be able to live there as a donation?
Yeah, I live there, so.
Oh, cool. So it's working for you?
Yeah.
How long have you been on fentanyl? Good for you.
Yeah, I never.
Why do you think this is more successful? Oh, you're in practice. Why do you think it's more successful?
People there, none of the staff get paid. So they're there to, like, willing to help you, like they're volunteering their time to help you, and I think it just means more. Knowing that they don't have to be there to help me, but they're choosing to be.
Okay.
We did it.
That's why
You know,
when I
I
graduated,
mean, I did it,
stayed on
and you
staff.
helped some. But we make a
Your
good
staff
team,
then.
eh? Frigo
Do you
and
still struggle with the addiction, or are you over
It's
it?
a buddy thing waiting to happen.
Wow, what do you have to say to those who are on fentanyl? What would your advice be?
It is one of the hardest things that you'll ever do to get off, but it's worth it, and there's actually the other side of the road.
Life's gotten way
Oh,
better.
I look amazing.
Can you hold this? I'm gonna get something for your organization because I do a lot of stories all over the country, and I'm running into the fentanyl story a lot. There's no way around it. And if I can give to the organization, that's what I got.
Thank you.
It needs to be more of a nationwide discussion right now.
Yeah,
I feel
absolutely.
because a lot of people are struggling.
Yeah, I mean, my detoxes were rough. I had to relearn how to walk.
Really?
Yeah.
So you were super addicted.
Yeah, I had seizures, severe dehydration. I had to relearn how to walk. I was maybe 89 pounds at the end of it.
So when you're on fentanyl, do you have any consciousness of you're an addict and you're in it? Like, do you have that, or you're just totally in a different world you don't even really know?
You're just looking for your next fix.
That's it.
That's it.
And do whatever it takes to get the
Yeah.
next fix.
Yeah, you rob, you steal, you lie, you cheat.
You'll steal from anyone,
Anyone.
whatever.
Yeah.
It's like oxygen.
Yeah.
It's water.
Yeah, you can't live without it.
Okay. Are you looking for more people going
Yeah,
through
it's
Rico?
completely free to go through.
Oh, you can go ahead of me, man.
I was gonna ask for a can of Copenhagen Snow.
I can go get it.
Thank you.
No problem.
Take care. All the best.
Thank you.
It's a great story. It's really cool. Guys, in these videos, I just show you what I come into, and I never know what I'm going to come into. And stories like that are super important because I've made videos in Kensington and all over American cities, and it's not just cities anymore.
Your grappler's
It's
still
everywhere.
outdated.
So when you
Come
see
see
a
me
success
for
story,
upgrade.
that's awesome. And anytime, you know, I can shine a light on some optimism in the darkness with topics like that, then I feel like I'm doing good work. So you never know what you're gonna get with me because I never know what I'm gonna
Rico,
get into.
launch the grapple. While
That
reeling
lady's story
in,
is cool,
open
man.
your parachute.
Mentioned something to me before.
Good,
If you
good.
spend
Now
enough
come
time
meet
up
me
here,
at
you'll meet a
Guardia
lot of people
Alpha.
that have been on it and have gotten better.
No way.
Oh yeah, this is Humboldt County. Like I've been here my whole life.
No way.
Yeah, and it's very common that drug problems are very common.
You grew up on the Lost Coast?
I grew up in Eureka.
Okay, do you like it out here?
I like being away from the city. Beautiful, isn't it?
It's one of the most beautiful places in the world.
That's how I feel.
What's your name?
Michael. Sorry, my hands are.
Peter.
Peter?
Yep.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too, Michael. Take care, man. So as you can see here, no cell phone service. We started up here, Ferndale, cruised down. We're now in Honeydew. Now we're gonna get off the main road, and you can't even see a road here, no back roads, but going all the way down here to Whitethorn, and then the goal is to get out here
That did it.
by Sunset Shelter Cove. So I've had the camera off a lot. You know, a lot of these large sections I'm not rolling, so what is it? 1:20 started this morning. 9:30, I believe. Around here. The sheriff doing his rounds.
Track malfunction. Also, I request additional assistance. Please, note new coordinates.
Quite some time. So I'm guessing, and I'm just speculating here, that these are weed grows on the other side. You can see all the planters. No trespassing. You have the wire fence and then the wooden fence. So the wire probably to keep the deer out, and the wooden to keep the eyeballs out. And there are all these little back roads here. And I am sure there's some interesting stuff.
Hey, Dima. This wingsuit isn't bad.
Oh, look at that.
Might not have mentioned. I've given you experimental device GE64, Bavarian base planted explosive.
We'll start with the bridge
What
then.
is that, a car from the 30s? Overshot the corner. And
I'm heading to a vantage point
trees
now.
coming out of the wheel well. Sure, it was wild back
The
in the
Revelos
day.
force is moving
Still
quickly.
is
Please, make haste.
a bit wild out here. It's one of those places you can just do what you want. There's no one here to know.
Ready for the convoy.
Looks like a bit more civilization than everywhere else we've been. Look at this cool building. That's awesome. Okay,
The
I had my
Revelos
camera
military
off, but
won't
that's
know
so
what hit
interesting.
them.
You guys were just telling me a bit of the origin story up here.
Yeah.
Or like the recent origin story. 60s, 70s, those time
You make
periods.
a deadly cool comic quip or...
Talking
Wait,
about how
I'm tracking
when
incoming
we
helicopters.
came here as back to land,
Two surface-to-air
one of
missile
our
batteries
ideas
are
was
nearby.
to
Marking
steward
their locations.
the
Recommend
forest.
reprogramming.
And we had different ideas. There were logging
thank you.
families and ranching families that lived here at the time. And for the most part, they were really
Now,
pretty
access
good.
the
They let
command
the
panel.
come in and take land and so forth. But we had different views about extraction. And what's
The
come
battery's
down
under
with the new,
control.
more
Move to the
modern,
other side.
now
Hurry!
that cannabis has kind of crashed a little bit, the restoration work is meeting, the loggers are working now with the restorationists.
Oh, okay.
You know, after years and years of a little bit butting heads over the issues. That is the new economy.
What everybody
That should
recognizes
do
here is that
it.
we're going to need multiple
I've made myself some
and
new
more
friends.
diversity.
Okay.
Because I'm just going to go back a little bit further. I came here when I was 2 years old, and it was logging, and there was lots of mills, and that's how families made a living. And it wasn't a very good living. People barely eat the living by, but that's how people survived.
Okay.
Then all the mills shut down. And logging went away because the trees were just cut, all of them were cut. So there were still some mills up north, but Whitethorn was right here. There used to be 7 mills. Not right here, but 4 miles from here. then there was this period where my dad had to go away to make a living, to like build houses down in Muir Beach and stuff, to be a carpenter, when I say build houses, have someone hire him. But what his dream was to start this place and build a spec house out in Whale Gulch. He got some land really cheap, and he needed building materials. That's how this place started. He needed to buy building materials to build. And then people started coming, I think Jim was one of them, and said, I see you got a bunch of boards and nails in there. This was the first
Good
building.
work, Dima.
Oh, this was right here.
And,
Cool.
I need some building materials too. You know, how does this work? And
Okay, bye-bye.
he'd say, yeah, come by, see if I have what you want, or if I can.
Rico, hello. It's me, Mario.
Order, and that's how
Mario Frico.
we started
You
selling
remember my
lumber.
grandmother's
One
place?
question for those that don't know,
She's
back to the
glad.
land
You must
movement,
come
what
over.
exactly was
Over.
that?
How did you get the comlink, Mario?
The back to the land movement was a
We
lot
all
of,
got them.
for lack of better
Rico,
terms,
you're
hippies
supposed to say
that
over.
were
Over.
looking for a different lifestyle. And, I grew up in Los Angeles in the early 60s. And then I moved to the mountains
Don't
of
worry about
Southern
the no
California
comlinks.
in the
Grandmother is already
mid-60s
cooking.
in order
Don't
to
be late.
just
Over.
try to get out of the city. So.
Okay.
And then a friend of mine called me one day and he said, I just bought 40 acres in southern Humboldt County.
Okay.
And if you'll come build me a cabin, because I was a carpenter since I was really young, I'll give you a piece of that land. And so in 1969, I arrived here as part of that back to the land movement. And there were a few people that were taking the old ranches that had been logged over or for whatever other reason, and then kind of splitting them up, generally into 40-acre parcels. Her father, Bob McKee, was one of those people who he had family all over. His family founded this area, southern, the Lost Coast.
His grandfather homesteaded here on this flat. But yeah, his vision was the 40 acres and a mule. He really believed in that dream. Which president was it? Lincoln, I think, that said everybody can have 40 acres and a mule, that things would be really different, because that's the whole idea of small farms that are self-sustaining and contribute to the health of the economy and the environment. That's what he wanted to do. And people were coming up here, and there were groups of people, like somebody from Antioch College back east came and bought land in Whale Gulch and then told it their friends, and pretty soon there are 5 people from that had gone to that college that were all coming. So in the beginning it was all word of mouth, but it turned into a bigger movement of people looking at the industrial way that we live, you know, cities, and how everything, not thinking that this was all going to work. This whole industrial model, capitalism, industrial capitalism, let's just call it, that was going to work. And they really thought that what to do was to move out to the country and make a life that was an alternative way, a different model.
That's interesting. So in your times, Vietnam time, a bit after, that movement took place, and I feel like there's a bit of that movement going on now also.
Yeah.
As I travel around the country.
Yeah.
A lot of people going back to nature.
Yeah.
Homesteading.
It was never really
so I'm only too happy to
quit here. I mean, here in Southern Oregon were some of the first people to really, like, this was really dropped out. I mean, like I said, I'd spent a little time in the mountains of Southern
Tear down that statue,
and
Rico.
when I drove out to see my friend, and I drove to Garville, and I drove 10 miles to the Alder Point Road, and then 10 miles on a dirt road, and then 4 miles down to where the cabin was. I was like, wow, this place has dropped out. I mean, it's like out in the woods. Her father was quite the designer, and you're looking at some very serious architecture here, of which he milled all the wood. All the wood was milled on site. This young lady here is quite the carpenterist when she was young. She helped build that think tank, what's called the think tank, which architecturally is a pretty interesting piece of work.
Love the door.
Love the door, yeah, all very talented craftsmen have always worked here, like myself. Bob, land, you know,
it's got some Gaudi influence.
Exactly. He was very influenced by Gaudi and Frank Lloyd Wright, fashion movement, but Art Nouveau.
That door is Art Nouveau.
One of the stories about Bob is, though, that he only took one vacation as part of 50 years, and he ended up in Barcelona. So we came back.
Yeah.
We all were set to do some of the
It's an interesting fusion. Infused in here.
And my mom did stained glass.
Yeah, so this is our gallery, which was originally Bob's old wood shop. shop for making a lot of wood products that he inspired.
You guys make this stuff?
Yeah, we make it.
Never gets old.
Wow.
Champion native artists. And walnut. Yeah, these.
And part of this back to the land movement when Bob realized that, you know, people are moving out in the forest and they have trees and they want to build a cabin and they want to cut some trees down. And let's use choppers are inbound. Let's bring that wood in here and make local wood projects. So a lot of this is from that kind of.
Be advised, tanks dispatched to point of
Who's
contact.
making this now?
Right here in the shop.
You two?
No, not me. Jim and
Yeah.
his team over there.
Jim and the team?
Yeah.
Nice. Do you sell all over, or people have to come here and pick it up?
Attention, we are sending tanks to your location.
We're trying to expand a little bit.
Copy that. Let's go.
Well, I'll come over there on the site in the description here. Yeah. Yeah, let's do it. What a find. This is so cool. It's like a cozy mid-century mod piece. Right? Oh, wow. It's got just like the Hobbit element to it. Right? That's the Lost Coast feel in that?
Yeah.
This is built by young woman.
Builder, maker.
I would love this. Brooks Taunton, what's the price on something like this? Don't mind me asking. Okay. Way better than going to Crate and Barrel.
Yeah.
No, it's the real deal.
It's the real deal. Solid wood.
You know.
So you really just get connected with the wood elements of this place, for lack of better words. Like all the deep forest, the old growth is in the veins, right? Where the moisture comes in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
That fog keeps the growth going because there's no rain in the summer.
Yeah.
And then the winter, the big rains come.
True.
And you get stuff like this here.
Yeah, and the hardwoods in this area are extraordinary. As you drove through your forest coming over here, you just saw it's just, you know, millions of trees.
Beautiful.
Some of the most rare trees is yew wood. This is Northern California yew.
Locate the rebel immediately. Do not let him escape.
It's just I mean, you just don't see this in many places now, just a big slab. Like usually it's sectioned off.
And if you have a couple more minutes, we will run over to
Okay, yeah.
Initializing search protocol.
I've never got so
Find the
excited
target
about
as soon as possible.
This is live edge birch. And that's the bark on it. It's so cool. Saudi Farmers Market here. This is really a community gathering place. We make the grounds available.
Community events, you got a cafe out there.
All
Quite
units on alert.
possibly the
Re-establish
coolest
visual
lumberyard business ever. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we have a haircutting studio over there. And then the wineries over there. And on the other end of the campus, there's a dispensary.
This is all your guys' operation?
Yeah, well, we rent to people.
Oh, you rent it. Okay, so
Rent to the, yeah, so rent to the cafe, rent to the hair studio.
Okay.
I could rent to the winery. But this part, this is the hardwoods and the hardware store are the core of the business.
So you see how wood's been stored sometimes for up to 15 years or more.
You store it for 15 years to air dry?
Yeah.
Takes that long.
Forces en route to your position. Eliminate that target now.
Takes a lot of years to pick up.
Really? So you cut this out of the forest, and you can't sell it right away. It's almost like a wine. You just have to let it age for a while.
Like 4 years is probably enough, but we just have the luxury of.
Well, 4 years. 4 years would dry a thinner piece of wood. You know, bigger pieces take a long time to dry.
Is this
These old redwood.
old redwood? What would a piece like this retail for if someone wanted to come in and buy this?
Couple thousand.
Couple thousand.
For that particular piece, that's really rare because of the curly aspect.
Sort of the waviness.
This business right here is a really good example of what people are trying to do in this economy where we can barely comply with this. Keeping it small, building, we're trying to build a name for it, build a market for value-added products. Those that would grow right here in our own landscape, and so we can take that are here in the forest and thin the trees and mill them and then get them in people's homes where they can have that beauty and that appreciation of the forest for greater appreciation of forest for everybody kind of thing.
Dispatching chopper
Through
support to
the
contact
love of
point.
wood. And helping people.
Oh, this is cool.
Deployment authorized.
That's one
Squad inbound.
So you're really hoping that you place these jobs here, but you're hoping it grows.
We're hoping that it grows. I mean, we don't want it to be 10 times bigger, but we need to be about, I would say, we need to have 4 or 5 people working up here.
Yeah.
To make this really make sense with all the
An elite
wood we
response
have
team is
and
en route to your position.
equipment we have and everything. And then that would get more jobs for local people.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the really
Any way that if people got into this, then you're just gonna have to cut down a lot more trees, right?
No, there's actually we
Target is
actually
at
need a lot
large.
more people
Re-establish
taking
visual
things
contact
out of
immediately.
the trees because there's actually too many trees. It's not healthy for the forest.
Are they on the ground, or you mean you need to cut them down?
They need to be thin.
Okay.
So
Be advised that choppers
yeah, so nowadays
approaching your location.
500 trees per acre. We need to get it down to around 200 trees per acre. That's still only 300 trees per acre. And nowadays, for hardwood, you basically just have to cut them down and let them rot.
Why do you think the state is so bad at getting forest? For example, in Arizona, really proactive.
Workforce development grants, they'll say that this is all products that are harmless. They want to use biomass. They want to get a bunch of that wood down out of the forest, and this is too small of a bite. And so it's just crazy. They don't get it that you need, yes, you do need some of those larger scale projects, but for sustainability and for teaching the craft for future generations, for the future, you need this. And so a lot of times you have to educate the funders and the agencies.
Sending air support to your location.
Are you a Tesla driver? If it survives, it's good to go.
That's correct. It's not likely to survive. It's been my business for 55 years. It's built structure. Yeah, somebody, the business people came here, others were just
Authorizing elite squad deployment at your location. Authorizing a tactical response team at your position.
Much everyone. What is so special or unique about here?
Well, because of the technology and efforts and the potential to make roads, this was always wilder out there.
Report the hostiles in the area. All units respond.
And say, hey, I want to build a house out in Whitethorn. They would say, well, you don't need a permit out there, just go ahead.
This is dispatch.
And so there
Sending
was
ground
a lot
reinforcements to your
of
position.
freedom to live differently. And now it's changed. Where the county is going back and enforcing all the land that they encourage people to do different things on back in the early days.
Plan out and search.
But it took 20 years or something. So there was a lot of knowledge, I would say, that was gained through this whole ability to experiment and be able to be more free.
Do you miss that a bit?
Oh yeah, I only speak for myself, but on behalf of a lot of other people because I work in restoration, and it's really hard to do restoration projects that are needed for the environment because of the level of regulation at the county and state level.
Find the rebel.
Why do you
Pursue
think it's
aggressively.
gotten
Worse and worse and worse and worse, to where sometimes it's like a Chinese puzzle to try to figure out how you're going to get through the permitting. And it's not that we're trying to get away with something, we're trying to do something that's good.
Nice and clean.
I think it's very interesting. I think there's this whole academic regulatory environment where people go to school and they learn to be good regulators, and they think that somehow by upping the bar, like they don't understand that what's good for the environment is more common sense, and there does need to be guidelines and all that stuff. I don't want to regulate it to the point where people can't even afford to fix something, which is what it's come to.
Yeah, you need the regulations. Let's say an analogy would be for sports on the football
Yeah.
field. You need the refs,
Yeah.
but if it's all refs on the field, you can't play the game.
Exactly.
I heard that recently. That was a good one.
Engaging the target.
Anyway, I just
All
had a
units
meeting with
converge
our
on the following
engineer
coordinates.
today about this pond we want to build, and it's crazy.
This is dispatch.
how
Request
difficult
received.
it is, and there's all these, what they
Reinforcements
call
en
cutting the
route.
green tape pathways that California's done to try to make it
Initializing
better,
search
and it's actually
protocol.
made it worse
Find the
because
target as soon
not
as
enough
possible.
people, like, proofread all the changes to make sure it made sense with what the projects are that we're needing to do. So here you are trying to help the fish, and you feel like you need to just go get some private money and try to do it that way and not have any permits, because the permits
Also,
are getting in the way of the project.
In Southern Humboldt, don't you think that the whole cannabis industry that was underground for so many years, and then it began to surface, and then the agencies all kind of
We've
wanted
lost
their
him.
piece of it.
Yeah.
Get back to your
So they
posts.
figured out all these regulations and rules, and it all fell on reservations.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, we have to go through the same.
and for good reason, there was a lot of, cannabis farmers that were out of line, came here just for the gold rush thing. But the mom and pop cannabis people, they were back down to the earth people. And like even her son has a farm. He has actually right out here, there's a farm, they grow flowers, they grow cannabis there. And they're like some of the most amazing farmers, they make their own soil, they make their own fertilizer. They're on the cutting edge of the new growth. And they learned it from a lot of these mom and pop growers that came down through the years, really doing it right. But then there was the characters that came in, tried to kill it, and then use.
What's happening out there? Respond immediately.
Didn't care about the land community.
And it fell down a little bit on the reservations. Then the regulations about water use and everything got kind of out of hand.
All right, so Jim has a friend named John who is still growing. Get out to his farm here and get the intel from the source. It's the thread that's hung through the story today, from the beginning.
Make
till
this
now.
land. Come in. Is anybody left out there?
Right place. Cool if I record?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. John, had an awesome road trip today, all the way from the north side of the Lost Coast down to here. And I noticed all of these operations with the greenhouses. Some were in operation, some look to be out of operation. That was the big economy, right? At the general store, they told me things aren't like it used to be.
The Honeydew General Store?
It wasn't honeydew, it was petroleum.
Petroleum.
Yeah.
Oh, even better. Yeah, I don't know if that store has changed much, but Garberville and Redway, which are really the epicenter of the Humboldt County, or at
Okay.
least southern Humboldt,
Yep.
has really felt a dramatic downturn, with the market taking a downturn also.
So that's from the legalization in 2016, or what is it from?
Yeah, basically it's taken only 8 years to close half to 3/4 of the doors in Garberville.
Whoa.
That is from 2 or 3 decades ago, the price being $5,500 a pound, to now the price being $300 a pound. And that shows what a big part and a big role that we played in supporting the economy here in Humboldt County. We all had to rely on one another with our lives at one point or another, and that built a family-based community. People that come here from other parts of the world, that's what they talk about. They talk about this community.
Okay, so the hills way out there, which is the pressure is going on the small farmers right now.
Yeah, corporate, big invested
Locate the rebel
agriculture
immediately.
can weather the
Do not let
storm,
him escape.
but the small farmers like myself on 5,000 square foot canopy and one of the smallest in the state of California. And then you have a company like Glass House that's 2.2 million square feet.
Someone report.
And they have
What's
all
the
the
situation?
labor they need.
Have we
They
lost him?
have everything
Report.
automated. So their price point per pound is a lot less than what we're doing here in the hills.
sorry about
we're
that.
being scrutinized a lot more than any other company, especially down there in the flatlands, because we're surrounded by sensitive watersheds, and they can now drive that price point down to far less than we could even produce a pound of pop. So I don't want to be doom and gloom, because I believe this is like a puzzle sitting on the table,
That's
and we
it.
can put the
I'll raise the
pieces
flag.
to the puzzle together. And we're seeing a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, per se, with growing our unique genetics. Strains like whitethorn rose and mom's weed, and strains that I've been growing or I've created here on the farm, and I've been growing for decades and decades that nobody else can grow.
Okay.
So kind of emulating, you know, grapes with having a certain varietal that nobody else in the world has, grown in a certain terroir, is the form we're going to have to take.
So you can go for the high-end stuff. Like, it's the difference of getting an artesian hamburger with locally grown meat, raised meat, right?
Yeah.
Versus McDonald's.
Versus McDonald's that's telling you that I'm the same as that locally grown meat. Even as of yesterday, some people had to come here. They wanted to come here, even though there's no plants and there's no flowers. They've just heard the stories of this place. From hiding what we've been doing for the last 40 years to now be able to share with the world is really what brings us happiness. Rose, my partner, usually has a gong up here, and when we are taking tours like the Gangier program takes 20 people here every month, we do a little sound back here, we take them down here and we tell them stories, but then what I get to share with them is stories of other farmers, and I created this thing called Farmers Mountain, and it's a hillside with farmers logos, and then we're trying to, you know, these are all just small farmers that were growing illegally for decades and decades, and when California decided to go legal, they had to weigh out whether or not they could afford to bring their farms into compliance, and if they wanted to participate like that. And did you believe the government was going to make a viable pathway forward for us, or was it going to be corporate cannabis that took over, just like
Our garage is always
alcohol
on
did?
docks.
Okay, so they didn't make it easy on you guys?
Sometimes there are dogs.
It definitely
sometimes
hasn't
there are
been easy.
strips,
Some
but they're
farms
all
still
the
after
same.
5, 6,
You could
7
bring
years
any
are still
vehicle
not
to
permitted
anywhere.
because, you know,
You
you're
could bring a
dealing with
boat
the
to an
water board,
airstrip
you're
if you
dealing with
wanted.
Fish and Wildlife, you're dealing
How
with
would
the
I get
counties,
a
you're
boat
dealing with
to
the
an
cities and the
airstrip?
counties, you're dealing with the state of California,
I don't
and
know,
all those
Rico.
have
You're the
different
one with the
requirements,
crazy
and all those
grappling
have
hook.
different
You'll figure
fees.
it out.
So even a farm like this
Cool.
that's relatively close to the main road,
My
you know,
point is,
still could
you could bring
approximate
any vehicle
nearly
to any of my
$200,000
garages.
just to bring one of the smallest
But I
farms in the
assume
state
I'll
of
have to
California
liberate
into
the
compliance.
towns first.
Wow. So before 2016, you guys just stayed low and sort of undercover and secretive about everything you did?
Yeah,
How'd that work?
You know,
How was that?
it was interesting growing up as a kid, growing cannabis as a means of our income. It was always a part of our income. We also commercial fished. We also were part-time loggers. But cannabis for 4.5 decades was a source of our income to be able to live in the country. None of us were really trying to get rich, but we were trying to live away from the cities and away from the concrete jungle and create a lifestyle of our own.
Wait,
the way
you
we
want me to
wanted
bring this
So say the year is
scooter?
2013.
Why?
You're growing out here. What's that like?
Don't worry about it, Rico. No one will miss it. Your map can help you find my garages. Go ahead.
10 years in federal prison.
Yeah, when I was 24, my best friend and I had gotten in trouble. An old man down our road turned us in, and we were pretty naive as hill kids and didn't know if there was a difference between state and federal laws, right? And we always thought if you got in trouble for growing this plant, that you would just get probation the first time offense, right? And I never had a speeding ticket. I would never hurt anybody. And federal laws are completely different. And even as a first-time non-violent offender, when I had 30 federal agents drive up my driveway, I was looking at a mandatory minimum of 10 years to life in prison. And, you know, I really was in disbelief for quite a while. Like, this was the reality. I thought this was like more of a scare tactic. this was a reality, and nothing was to say I would get 10 years, but there was a chance I could get life in prison. No, yeah, I know it's impossible, but I didn't think it was possible for me to go to jail for 10 years for a plant. And when the judge was about to sentence us, he stood up and said, I would like nothing more to do than to give you less time, but because I'm bound by the law, I have to follow the mandatory minimums, and that was a 10-year sentence. It was 120 months. In federal prison, you do 85% of your time. So I did 8 out of the 10 years, 6 years in Lompoc, and then 2 years in Nellis Air Force Base. Now I became the 4th existing farm in Humboldt County to get a permit, and I'm permitted by the state of California for exactly what I did a 10-year federal prison sentence for. It's pretty ironic, and I'm not bitter about it because, you know, we all have bumps in the roads and we all go on these journeys, and it's an experience that a lot of people haven't had before. So I think what's important for people to understand is once you're in jail, you can adapt and you get used to it. It's those family and those children that are left outside that love you that really suffer the most.
What was that day like? Were you on this property or you were somewhere else?
When they rolled up?
Yeah.
It was 6 o'clock in the morning. I just had my first cup of coffee and I was walking out my sliding glass door.
I'm the equipment guy for the rebellion, Rico. I bring weapons and vehicles to the rebels all over Medici.
But why do you need this? It was weird because after they searched the place for 8 hours, they left and they gave me a
remember little Cecilia Crespo? The one with the bad breath they called her Dracona? This is her bike. Beauty, eh? She made fun of my hair. She said it was crispy, so we play a little prank on her, eh? And it benefits you and the revolution to boot.
I wanted the judge to know who we were, but I just didn't believe
Cecilia's
we could
stupid
get that
scooter
much
benefit
time.
me?
All they were interested in was that I told all my best friends and
Rico,
gave
I
bunch of
take the
people.
bike, I
I
break
could
the
have no
part.
time
The
if I
guys
would've
use it to make more
ratted them
bikes.
out.
Everyone gets bikes, everyone
But that's
wins,
not how
except
we
the
were growing up,
Dracona.
and
She
these
won't be happy,
people,
but
like I
that's the
said
point.
before, these are my family. And so, you know, I was who I said I was, and I did my time for the crowd.
It occurs to me that a
When
tank
I
or
came
an
out and I drove
RPG
back
might
up
be
the
more
driveway with
useful
my
than
dad,
this
I had
scooter.
50 people from this community here waiting for me to help me get my life back
And
in
if you
order.
bring down the
You
Ravello's
know,
bases,
bring me
my boys can
silverware
learn
and
about
plates
the
and
vehicles
everything that
kept
had
there
gotten
and
stolen that
bring
we
them
take
to
for
you.
granted.
But don't
I
bring
needed,
any
and
of
they
that
were
stuff
there
to my
bring that
garages.
back.
Why
What was that day like when you left the
Throws too
free
much
world
heat, Rico.
and
I've
went
got to
off
keep a low profile to
prison?
provide the
Do you
services I
remember
provide.
that moment, what that felt like? Or?
Yeah, I went. My mom and my dad both went with me. We drove down the. Excuse me. We drove down the Lompoc, and where you check in, even if you're going to a camp, they bring you to the USP, which is the United States Penitentiary. That's where people get life in prison for murdering people, and they put you in a holding facility in there. Especially if you check in on a Friday. And so I checked in on a Friday because that was my day. And so I spent 3 days over at the USP. And when I walked into the holding facility, there was like 9 other people in that holding cell. And they couldn't believe that for growing a plant that I had gotten 10 years. And I had the longest prison sentence at the Lompoc prison camp when I checked in. We built a pretty good relationship with the guard that watched us and the warden of the prison camp at Lompoc. And when we got out, and then when we got off probation, they emailed me and they wanted to come up. And so one weekend they drove up here from Lompoc and they spent 3 days up here, spent the whole time on the farm and hung out with me and my co-defendant, who was my best friend, who's my neighbor.
Park the bike right on the blue
And
painted area.
they were here really to make sure that we were okay, right? They understood that the system that they were in charge of regulating was
but
broken.
I'm still stuck with
And
just this
at the end of the trip,
stupid
they said, hey,
scooter.
well, it's legal in California. They each took 6
Well,
plants
hey,
home
chillax,
from
Rico.
our
I
genetics
told
to
you,
grow
I'm
in
the
their
equipment
personal
guy.
gardens.
Just
And
grab
they
some
still call
vehicles
me
over
every
there.
single year at the beginning of the year, what are we growing this year? So it was a friendship and it was an understanding, and I understand and I forgave them because they were doing their job, and I'm not angry at them. I'm not angry at the judge. I deserved to get in trouble. I was breaking the law, and I knew I was breaking the law. We
Got
could all
them.
argue
Not
that
sure
maybe I
how
didn't
these
deserve to
help
get that
me.
much time, but that's not benefiting
Throw them
anybody
to tell my
now.
delivery guys where to
And
drop your equipment.
what
Just
I'm doing
pick what you
now and
want
sharing
in my
our
new
story
Rebel Drop app.
is what's really important. Prison was really weird, especially for a first-time offender. It was a big deal to find a cold toilet seat, right? In the morning, you always looked for the cold toilet seat because you knew nobody sat on that prior to you. That was a big deal. Little things like that. Sunday, chicken day was a big deal because the food was terrible. And I'm just telling you the reality of how it was in there.
How about relationships? You meet anyone interesting? Did you make friends, or was it just you're on your toes all the time,
so
on guard?
It wasn't like that at the prison camp. You know, there was hardly any fights because that's where they put non-violent offenders, and if you got in a fight, they would put you in a higher facility. So, but what was interesting is there was 2 big dorm rooms, and inside the dorm room there was bunk beds, and I was matched up with a guy that had 3.5 years prison sentence. His name was Charlie Knapp. Charlie Knapp, who was my bunkie, was co-defendants with Michael Melton, who was part of a $2.2 billion savings and loan scam in the 80s. And they had embezzled and ripped off hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. Michael Melton had ratted on Charlie, my bunkie, and my bunkie got 3.5 years for bringing so much harm to that many people. And there was still $800 million missing when they got sentenced. So, he was a really nice guy. I was in there with a lot of really nice people. Bruce McNall, who owned the Sacramento Kings.
You bet your ass.
Goldie Hawn came to visit.
Just
I
use
mean,
that.
these were
But we can only
the
supply
elite
what
of
you
the
can
criminal
find.
enterprise.
So get cracking.
These were the white-collar criminals. And day one of walking to jail, I had over maybe 20 people come up to me and they wanted my PSI report.
These look
And a
deadly.
PSI report is your pre-sentencing report that is from the court system that tells other inmates whether or not you ratted on somebody. And if my pre-sentencing report wasn't clean and didn't say that I didn't rat on somebody, it would have been a lot better time for me. But because of that, every different ethnic group really just embraced me and was just proud that, you know, this white, clean guy out of the hills held his mud, and it really allowed me to just be, they wanted to help.
So there's a real deep culture of respect in there? Respect and honor?
It's all about respect. I mean, growing up, I learned how to grow when I was 10 from my mom. By the time I was 15, I had begged and asked her to give me my own 10 plants because I wanted to grow the way I wanted to grow. I fell in love with growing plants, and I was growing with my best friends at the age of 15. We were running from the cops, we were running from helicopters. It became a cat and mouse game.
It was pretty exciting.
It was so exciting. I mean, like my best friend said, stop saying you were a criminal. You weren't a criminal, you were an outlaw. And there's a difference between a criminal and an outlaw. And we just didn't believe that there was something so bad about this plant that we just didn't understand why they didn't want us growing. We were growing in trees. We were growing underneath bushes. In trees? We would build platform in trees because when the helicopters and the aerial surveillance would fly over, they would be looking on the ground. So if we put a plant in a tree, most of the time they would just fly by and not see it. And when a plant is worth $5,500 a pound and maybe you get 3 pounds off of that plant, it's worth climbing that tree. So when you plant in a tree, you're 20 years old, maybe you make $100,000 tax-free. I mean, I could fish, surf, do whatever I wanted. Or the whole group.
Do the cartel still operate in this area or not really?
They've kind of moved on. They came here. I say that, but there's some around, and maybe they figured out a niche on how to make it work. You know, a lot of them also got their farms criminals. They kind of migrated to Oregon, you know, to Oklahoma as new states came online, and were really naive to how to make the system work. They took advantage of those newer systems.
Those fuel tanks blow up nice, Rico.
Absolutely smart. I mean, they're sharp and they're powerful.
You get a lot of foreigners here doing this work too, right?
We used to go through the streets of Garberville and there'd be 50, 60, 70 foreigners sitting there wanting to work, and now you can go.
It wasn't just south of the border, it was like Eastern Europeans and everywhere, right?
Everywhere, all over the world, and they look forward to coming here because we could afford to come here and they could come here and heard my name come over the loudspeaker and said, "John, could you please report to the chaplain's office here?" That's never really a good sign. When I got there, the chaplain informed me that my mom had had a boating accident and she had passed away while I was in jail. And so, because she was doing everything that I knew, I thought it was really important, and in her honor, I really wanted to honor those people in my life that made it possible for me to be here. So, Katie's my stepmom, another stepmother, and this is my mom, and my dad's on the other side. These are just people in my life and Moses' life that really Oh, thank you. I don't smoke, but I'll give you some. You know, I put the no helicopter on the top of the yard because it's really a significant part of what comes out with guys hanging out 100 feet over that telephone pole, poor guys with AR-15s, and you know they're still talking about that.
So in California, I can drive around with this fine, give it to someone, no issues, leave it.
Really was good.
Wow.
I know, right? What a trip. Yeah. And unfortunately, you know, I will complain about having gone to prison because of people in jail.
That's wild.
That is. Could you imagine sitting in prison? And now we have all this. You're giving yeah.
Started as a community, a subdivided community, initially planned
take
for
out those satellite dishes.
4,000. Airport,
It appears to be a
destroyed
service
like that a
outage.
little bit different.
Turns out a lot of the lots of California initially restricted
So a lot of the lots for sale, you can see on Zillow, they're very cheap. I think I was seeing like $60,000, $70,000. But those are ones you can't build on. And in 1972, Wayne came in here, and when he was leaving with a bunch of prospective buyers going back to San Diego, I believe it was San Diego. Guys, the sun setting into the Pacific. What an epic journey today. We started way north of the mountains there, onto the coastline. They never attempted to make the road along. Hence, Lost Coast being a super remote part of California, a place well, most people knew nothing about. Powerful, beautiful, mysterious, really special journey today. Thanks for coming along on that. That was awesome. Until the next one. Out here with the Amish and the Mennonites.
It's such a humbling place to live.
This is you as a short confusing those. Television destroys families.
A lot of people don't know this.
Hello.
He's one of the original ones here in the county. He still rides a bicycle, Peter. Unfortunately.
Fire on fire.
What are your thoughts on that?
They go void across the checks and send them back or tore them up. They don't take any kind of government assistance.
I was told that I will get it if I do this.
It's a Schwarzenegger phone shack.
Haircut's $12, beard trims $8.
Do you have cash?
I do, but I don't have hair.
Just cause they're Amish don't mean they don't go through problems just like everybody else in the world.
This is what I got in the movies. So Steven, you choose to live out here with the Amish and the Mennonites.
I love it.
Why?
They're my best friends. I've been around them my whole life, and I don't feel comfortable without them, to be honest with you.
Really?
I love them. It's such a humbling place to live. They help you. I mean, they'll do anything for you. Like this here, this is Old Order Amish.
Okay.
The Old Order started here in 2011, 2012.
Yep.
And when these Old Order Amish, when they first get started and move to a place, they build these red buildings. And they call them shops.
Okay.
And they'll live in these shops until they get started long enough, to build a house, the white houses. All their shops, all their barns are red. And all their houses are red.
So they're living here first, and then they build their house.
Live in the shops until they build it.
Now, a lot of development going on here.
This is actually a harness shop, Schwarzenegger harness shop right here. This is a Mennonite home here. They're a horse and buggy Mennonite.
So it gets very confusing / technical. There's Amish Mennonites. There are many different types of Amish, many different types of Mennonites. But for example, the Schwarzenegger that we passed in the beginning there, they don't have electricity at home. They will not have electricity at home.
None.
No cell phones.
None.
Even though some do, right?
Some every now and then.
Every now and then.
Who knows, but that's their business. But
the Mennonite are more liberal. They're going to have more technology, more.
They still don't have cell phones.
Mennonites don't?
No.
I've seen some with them.
Well, our Mennonites here, no cell phones. They have landlines in their home.
Okay.
They do have electricity. They have air conditioning. They have all that stuff, but they have no cell phones, no internet, no connection like that at all.
So it really depends in what part of the country you're in where these rules apply. Like Holmes County, Ohio is different than here.
It's different in this county. If you're a member of the Mennonite church here, you abide by the way they want their church to do. Now, the Mennonite church 5 miles from here, they're a different church. Then there's also some people here called Charity. They're Charity Mennonites. That's what we call them, but they drive cars and have cell phones with no internet. But then there's also Holdeman Mennonites. There's like so many different types of Amish and Mennonites right here in this county.
And for those of you who see my videos, you'll know where we're at now. A good friend of Titus is Steven.
That's right. Knew him for a long time.
And if it wasn't for Steven,
Blow up those
I would
transformers.
have
Throw a wrench in the military power supply.
Where is he? Is he out? Because we hitchhiked to Nashville yesterday. That was like an 18-hour mission.
It was a long mission.
There and back. Steven picked us up at the end and drove us back.
He's on the phone. Who could have guessed?
Let's go.
Power's out.
Hey. Titus, you get some good sleep? Office hours are closed.
Hey, Sheldon to Rico.
What's unforgettable?
I should have figured you'd survive.
Especially the last one.
What do you need?
Just coming in there, we still have sun, like we still have enough time to do
You
what we
sure
need to
put a
do.
bee
It
in
was like
Ravello's
icing on the
bonnet,
cake to
and Costa del Porto is about to suffer the
I mean,
brunt
we
of
took
his
7 rides to Nashville,
disappointment.
Steve.
I thought you and your pal would like
I
to
was
know.
worried about it. I didn't think he was going to make it.
Sheldon. Mario.
Nothing is
You there?
impossible with
Dimas
our
made us these gadgets.
Right.
They use a vehicle's speed to
So
power
Titus,
up.
today's video
Then
we're
they
talking about
I'm not sure if
non-Amish.
that's
Well, you're non-Amish.
but it's a great
Non-Amish living next to Amish Mennonites.
place
It works
for
pretty well,
blowing
right?
up
For
Ravello's
me,
forces.
it's been a
Wanna
blessing.
take a whiff?
I had an Amish neighbor that's since moved, but he told me, Titus, like I was just starting out, I didn't have much of the farm machinery that I needed, and I was always borrowing farm machinery from him. And he's like, Titus, if I'm gone and you need to borrow something, go ahead. If I'm not around, just look to it and you take it. He's like, if you're really needing to get something done and you gotta have some help, tell my children to help you, they'll help you. He's like, the only thing that you can't borrow when I'm not around is my wife.
That makes sense.
You followed the rules, right, Titus?
A greener energy economy. And then also, like at one of my Amish neighbors up the road here, his horse had died and he needed a workhorse to get some plowing done and things. And he asked if I could borrow, if he could borrow a horse from me. I was like, sure, go ahead. He took good. Loaning your horse out is kind of like loaning your vehicle out. I mean, some people you would trust and say, here's the keys, and other people you'd be like, like they might blow it up or they might get in trouble with the law. They like to be liable. But yeah, like he borrowed my workhorse. My workhorse came back. It was in great shape.
I know one thing. I would not give you the keys to my truck.
You think I would drive wild?
It would be bad.
Well, I mean, just give me a chance. Just let me prove it.
Maybe out there in that
Should
field.
we do a video Titus driving Steven's truck?
I don't think so. Not today. We're going to go meet John Yoder, the ex-Sorchin trooper.
Oh, yeah.
At the slaughterhouse.
Titus.
You know Johnny.
See you, buddy. Is this it? I'm not going to see you until, well, next time?
Unless you come by here tomorrow and say hi.
Well, you can come over to my parents' system.
Yeah. See you, Titus.
I'm glad you guys stopped in.
Titus! God, Titus is so much fun to hang out with.
He's wild. You know what? Me and him have been so many miles together. Like, we've been all over the country together. We went...
Because he works for you sometimes.
He helps me. Like, if I'm...
With horses.
If I'm taking a horse to Oregon or something...
Yeah.
And my wife don't want to go because it's hard with the baby or something, I can call Titus and say, hey,
So what's it like traveling with Titus across country?
It's an adventure every...
Does he preach a lot? Like yesterday when we were hitchhiking at the gas station. Yeah, he loves the gas station.
At the hotel.
I mean, it's hard not to smile when you're with Titus, right? He comes across with such good intention, he means well.
He went with me to Rhode Island 3 weeks ago, and he wanted to get out and go on the Lord's transportation system home. Hitchhiking home from New York. And I said, this is not, you need to just come with me. I finally talked him into coming with me to Youngstown, Ohio, and then there was no other talking. He was getting out of the truck, and he did. I left him on the side of I-80. Bye-bye. Well, that's what I supposed to do.
He hitched that.
He did, and got home.
He hitched from Ohio to here.
Yeah, because I had to go on to Ohio and see some people I was going to see there. That's why he wanted to go on, was to Sabbath, be home before Sabbath. He beat me home.
Titus has probably never missed a Sabbath, huh?
He won't miss one.
Yeah.
Here's the Mennonite school.
They know you?
Oh yeah, I know most of the kids by name. I'm around them, you know, their moms and dads. This here is some charity Amish called Pallets Plus.
So when someone is making a lot of money, they're putting it into homes, they're putting it into what?
Land, and maybe their children live on. And also, they help the school system. And the way the Mennonites and Amish work,
Bring in the thick skin.
yeah. Say I have a heart attack, I have a bad hospital bill. Our church is going to pay my hospital bill. That's the way they work. So I think that if somebody's got a lot of money, they donate it to like the church.
So I'm guessing they're not putting money into the stock market or
I wouldn't say so.
modern investment vehicles.
Like if a young man gets married and he wants to start a company, a lot of the elders will pull together and invest to help him start that company. The COVID refunds come, you know, they raise that money for COVID. The Amish, mom and dad, that could be exactly how much it was, but they got paid per child. Yeah. These people with 15 kids, 12 kids, they come much? $15,000. They go to board because they throw them up, they don't take in
Mennonites the same?
Same. This here is a Schwarzenegger Amish sawmill. I know most of these guys too. Dan knows this place.
Everyone's name is Yoder.
Maybe you're here from Homestead, Ohio.
Okay.
In this area, sawmilling is a big thing to Schwarzeneggers. This is their office, where they eat their lunch and stuff.
So everyone here gets an education through 8th grade, correct?
That's it. 8th grade and everywhere.
What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, seems to work pretty good. A lot of them are really doing really good for themselves. I mean, I'd say these Amish and Mennonites learn more at their 8th grade than most kids learn at the public. The distractions. They go to school and that's what they do.
What's this, Stephen?
Phone chat. They call it a shandy. Phone shandy.
Okay, so they make their calls in there.
Yeah. Let's see the solar panels to run the phone and stuff.
It's a landline? Cell phone.
Probably a black box. Like, you know those new phones out today? They're from Verizon, they're a little box. They call it a black box. And it's got a SIM card. And it runs on cell towers, but it's actually you plug them on the phone.
That's just here with the church?
I don't know. All I know is they go there and use it. What I think is, I think somebody else owns this little piece of land, and he put it there for them to use. But I don't know 100%.
Okay. Stephen, how do you say Schwarzenegger in Pennsylvania in Dutch?
Schwarzenegger. Schwarzenegger. The Amish and Mennonites around here know that if I'm around, they don't tell what they're saying.
That's cool. This video is sponsored by Thor. When I got married, completely ripped off with something that didn't look great and cost way too much money. But there's a better way with Thorns. Thorns rings are stylish and of the highest quality. They have an excellent selection made from the following materials: meteorite, whiskey barrel, ironwood, resorghum, World War II rifle stock, titanium, Damascus steel, and aluminum. I personally wear the World War II ring and absolutely love it. This band is inlaid with timber from an M1 rifle stock, which makes it very comfortable and unique. Founded in 2012 by co-owners Caleb and Stephanie Martin, their small husband and wife love for their craft. A Thorn purchase comes with free worldwide shipping, and they ship within 1 business day after order. The quality is superior. They back their rings up with a lifetime warranty. They even come in this cool little American walnut ring box. And Thorn is now making watches and ladies' rings too. Whether you need a wedding ring, anniversary ring, or just a ring on your finger, head over to Thorn.com and use code PETER at checkout to get 20% off a truly unique ring. Again, that's 20% off if you use the code PETER at checkout. Now back to the video. So you've always lived in this community?
I was raised in Bethel Ridge, which is like 5 miles away the crow flies that away.
Okay.
I mean, I was raised right here.
So even though it's not your culture, it sort of is?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I'm so used to it. You know, I'm with them every day. Every day. Like, when I go home at night, I talk to 10 or 15 Amish and Mennonites on the phone. That's my hobby. That's my friends.
Choppers are inbound.
We all talk to each other on the phone. I call my Amish friends in Ohio, Indiana, Northern Kentucky, around here.
Authorizing elite squad
Do
deployment at
you
your
connect
location.
with them just because they're living a simpler life?
I think
more traditional values, or
I connect with them mainly because of the horse business. I love horses, and I connect with them really strongly over horses, and that's what got me in with them really strong.
And you sell draft horses, which are the work horses, which the Amish want, right?
That's right, but we don't really sell the Amish.
You don't sell the Amish.
No.
Why not?
Because they usually don't buy them like people buy them something like, you know, we're selling to carriage channels, we're selling to businesses, we're selling to people that don't really have access to them really easy. The Amish, these people have horses they've raised for 20 years, you know. They breed their mares and keep raising their own. So they don't really have to buy them, they raise their own.
They're super frugal too, right?
Yes. I've sold to them before. We don't make a lot of money selling to them. But, you know, if I got a friend, I don't have to make a lot of money. If I've got a friend here that needs a horse, you know, I'll give him a good deal and just sell it to him because, you know, I help the community. Like last last Saturday we had an auction. I started it myself. It's a driving north star. All of the money goes to all of it. It's a whole nonprofit. All the money goes to the school and build the school. We're going to build the school. And all the Mennonites come together and help the school. And it's growing every year. It's doing great.
Television destroys things.
Yep.
You're not onto the internet yet.
The charity people, no, they're not. They use the business use on them. He used to have a tire shop. He probably had a computer.
Reports of violence in the area. All units converge.
What I've heard now, I don't know if it's true. I can't. We can ask John out here because he's in the charity church. But I heard their computers, if they get on something they're not supposed to be on, it's supposed to be on. A lot of people don't know this. There is an Amish publication called The Boat Shop.
Re-establish visual contact.
And I don't know what it means in Dutch, but it's called The Boat Shop. And every community in America writes a newsletter every week. And it's like 100 pages. And they mail it out every week to all the subscribers all over America.
So this is how the Amish Mennonites are getting their news?
Report.
Like, this community will write, so-and-so got married, we had this, we had the work bee and built John a new barn. It's that kind of news, like news within their community. And it goes all to all Amish guys in America that subscribe. There's also, they're out of Pennsylvania. There's also another really big one called The Budget in Sugar Creek, Ohio. And they do a similar type of newsletter for Amish. And of course, Amish, when they go to the doctor, they'll watch the news. Like when the TV's running, they say watch it. They hear what's going on. And English people coming into the community here, they tell them, like when COVID was going on, they tell them, oh, you gotta wear a mask now, tell them, they hear what's going on.
Hey, but ignorance is bliss in a way. You're like, why do you want to take in the country's problems or someone else's stress if you're living in this tight-knit community? Like, why do you want to know how many killings murders were in Chicago?
Target is at large. Re-establish
I'm
visual
not
contact
Amish or Mennonite, and I don't even want to know that.
Yeah.
I don't pay attention to the news. I just hang out here, have fun. Howdy, howdy. All right, are you?
Doing great.
Johnny Yoder here? He's sleeping still?
How you doing, sir?
Doing great. How about you?
Yeah, doing well.
Good. If you'd have come just an hour earlier, there'd have been quite a choice. Here you go, pineapple.
So is this a Mennonite operation, Amish?
We're similar to both. From the same with the Anabaptist. It's the same umbrella.
Calling off search. Target no longer an area.
As the Amish and Mennonite. Doesn't necessarily go by your name.
Gotcha. But it all sort of gets along out here, huh?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
yeah. Yeah. John, so you were former Schwarzentrooper.
Yes.
Okay. What are you now? New Order Amish?
I am not.
Why is no one
we don't really
responding?
have a denomination that would go by.
Okay.
It would definitely sort of favor the Mennonite lifestyle a lot. A lot of people just call us Mennonites, and that's fine. I'm not offended by it, but we're not actually affiliated. The church is not with any kind of Mennonite.
Okay. So when did you leave the Schwarzentrooper church?
It'll be 7 years next month, I think. So that'd be back whatever 7 years makes.
Was that a hard process?
It was. It's very difficult.
Did you have to abandon your family and friends and everything, or?
I didn't have to abandon them. They took fairly good care of that to begin with.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But it's part of their culture, and nothing against them.
So if you grew up in that culture, like for example, if I grew up here at Schwarzentrooper, and I wanted to shave my head like this and sort of live my own life, I would be kicked out for sure.
Eventually, they are very graceful. Okay. And, it's not like they will just take you and just, kick you out. And it's not quite like that. There's people out there that see that picture from the old order, or the Schwarzentroopers especially. But I'd be here and be the first one to say that that's not quite the case. I've been a Schwarzentrooper for 27 years. They're very nice people, and they don't just throw people under the bus. However, there comes a time when you have to choose whether you're going to be a Schwarzentrooper or not. All right? So when you choose to shave your head and not be a Schwarzentrooper, obviously you are saying that, look, I don't agree with where you're at. So you're kind of asking a little bit for an excommunication in a sense.
That had to be super hard, that process.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's easy. I tried it many times.
So why did you decide to do that?
Obviously not for personal pleasure, or I wouldn't have made it.
Right.
Well, while I like the Swords and Troopers and I appreciate them a lot, they have a lot of zeal. They're very serious people. They're very likable people. I will also say this about them. There is a lot of stuff going on that you don't see just looking at us.
Okay.
There is a consistent turmoil within the church, and it's very, very grievous because the Bible speaks about loving each other. And if you it's very clear that if you say you love God, but you hate your brother, the truth is you're a liar, and the truth is not in you, is what the Bible says, right? So that's one of the things I can't, I just could not go on with. There was some abuse with my oldest son, in a physical abuse manner, and there is some other abuses that go on. And it's very unfortunate, though it's not in every household, it's too much for me to be comfortable. And I will say where my tipping point was, at one point I told my wife, I said I would never go back to a Swords and Trooper church. There was a private meeting for the members. And there was a 16-year-old boy, I had to leave my son out, and he was scared. He said they're mean, and I told him I didn't think they really were. And so I took him at the back of my buggy, turned towards the people in the boys. And I set him on there, and I said, they don't know where he's at. He's okay. He'll be fine. And he took my word for it. And I was sitting in the meeting there, and all of a sudden I heard him cry. And then I heard him scream. I said, oh boy, I hated that. Anyway, I ended up going out, and I went out just in time to see a 16-year-old boy take a clod of dirt with all of his force and threw it right at his face, which it missed his face and hit the buggy about this far back from his
compacted dirt?
Yes.
Okay.
Dry dirt. And it splattered, of course, and he screamed. So I just walked over to him and took him off the buggy. He's already 3 years old, but I just held him like a little child, and asked him. And when I did hold him, he was soaking wet. And he was still sitting on the buggy right where I put him. And these boys, younger boys, treating him in that manner for absolutely nothing that he had done. He's still sitting on the buggy where I had put him and told him to stay. This is one of the many accounts. And I did not agree with the Amish or where they're at with things. So obviously the young generation, they sort of had a point to prove with me, sort of making an example out of me. And they took it out of my children. And that was very difficult. Very difficult.
Oh, wow. Gotcha.
But I don't, I forgave them. But it was time for me to get my family out of that. I could tell you a whole bunch more, but this is sort of a little bit. There is various sexual abuse cases that happen under them.
You're saying Swords and Trooper or all Amish? Or?
Well, it happens under a lot of Amish, especially Swords and Troopers. Also Swords and Troopers, I shouldn't say especially. But
so I just want to make it clear, though, to the audience, it's not all families, obviously.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I just want to make that clear.
And as far as my relationship, let me tell you, this is 7 years. I worked hard on this. My family worked hard on it. My mom and dad, they always, we had a good relationship after I left, and we go home quite frequently to visit on both my family and her family. It's not very awkward. We have a good time when we go. We visit. We
okay,
now.
So you can visit your parents
now.
How long couldn't you visit them for?
It took about 2 years to get fresh of the pain.
That's hard.
But it was hard for them. You have to understand, they were not doing it to be hateful to me.
Okay.
I like them. They like me. I'm convinced. Right? It's family. It is. Yeah. So you have to understand, it's not this heated batting back and forth relationship.
So in a way, to preserve these values in the culture, it has to be very, for lack of better words, extreme in its rules. So anything that's against the rules, like you wanted to sort of go your own way, therefore it's not an easy process. If it was an easy process, maybe more people would do it. Then maybe the whole thing falls
is when I actually got converted to Christianity. I got converted. I got born again.
So, Schwarzenegger was a Christian, though, right? Or no?
Well, when there's a lot of turmoil in a church, and there's not a following of the Word of God, how can you call yourself a Christian? The Bible says, if you love me, you will keep my commandments.
Okay. So your interpretation of the Bible is different.
The problem is when I'm mentioning, when there's an issue going on, I get your understanding on this one. It's not me saying it, it's not me, the customer saying it. It's the Word of God saying it. I agree. If the remark comes back, well, that's not the way we do it. And I don't want anyone to get any bad impression about the individual.
Yeah.
But we were expected to have our conversation in a private area, and all that stuff was totally, it was actually
with the
in this particular community, the Schwarzenegger would go to bed.
We need more support!
The couple would actually spend every 2 weeks on a Saturday or Sunday night. They will spend most of the night in bed.
Understood.
And the Bible demands, the Bible asks, requires a pure heart. You try that. If you're trying to have a pure heart, pure mind, tell me how you can be in bed with a girl that you dearly love and you want to marry. And you know what comes with marriage? God designed marriage.
These are non-married Schwarzenegger. How old? Doing this snuggle cuddle party stuff.
That's another problem. They're from 16 and a half to whatever age.
The parents accept this or no?
No, they encourage it.
Okay, so that breaks some strong stereotypes. I would have thought they're very conservative. Therefore, that stuff would be shunned for sure. But you're saying they're encouraged.
That's what I wish. That's really what I wish.
And it's some or all?
Pretty much, there's a community in Missouri that is not quite as bad on that. They are, the community in Missouri has some agreements with the others. They don't push their agenda. They don't have to follow that particular other.
So is the goal behind that to get youngsters married early? Is that the point of that?
You want my friend's opinion?
I mean, it's up to you. This is on a video. It's however you want to do it.
It's ignorance to the truth and the Word of God and what a pure heart really is. I'm not hating them for it. You understand? If there was any way that I could help them, you know, me and my wife dated for 3 years. All right?
Yeah.
We never had intercourse.
So they're encouraging it, though?
They're encouraging, not intercourse, just hooking and kissing. Yes, that's it.
Okay.
They go to bed, they lay in bed together, under the covers.
Where are the parents?
Do not let him escape.
Downstairs sleeping if they can. I can't imagine they could.
Okay, so as 16-year-olds, you know what's happening.
You know, well, I'm gonna say, yeah, that's right. But I want you to know, as a testimony sake, and for their defense, that we dated 3.5 years. So I want you to know that God is still looking over some situations. But unfortunately, there are a lot of people, when they go on that long, we started at 17, we started dating. So there's a lot of people out there that can't have that. They ain't got that power to overcome that. And that's very sad. And I
Right, yeah. Okay, so do they allow, like, say, Schwarzenegger